Thank you for visiting Past the Wire TV, the YouTube channel of PastTheWire.com.
Go to drf.com and use coupon code 1FREEPP for a free single card today.
They're off in the 2023 First Crop Sires Race. Maximum Mischief makes the lead with the most 2-year-old maiden special winners by any sire. On the backstretch, Mitoli and Omaha Beach close the gap with stakes performers from coast to coast. Vino Rosso finds his best and leads on the turn with 4 Grade 1 colts on dirt. But it's Mitoli with his 3rd TDN Rising Star, your champion freshman, leading an impressive Spendthrift Superfecta.
A top 10 first crop sire in 2023, standing at McMahon of Saratoga. 14 first crop winners, including My Shady Lady, winner of the $500,000 New York Stallion Series 5th Avenue Stakes. Grade 2 winner, Winstock, and stakes winner, Solo Shot. Solo Meanie, the 7th leading freshman sire and the only top 10 freshman sire with a Grade 1 or Grade 2 winner. He sired a $700,000 2-year-old at the OBS April sale. His juveniles sold for nearly 6 figures on average, more than 12 times the stud fee. Solo Meanie, a controversial DQ from being a Grade 1 winner by 2-time Horse of the Year Curlin, standing at McMahon of Saratoga Thoroughbreds. Sure Bet Coffee. Put the giddy up in your cup.
Hello, Kevin Costello. Thank you very much for coming on Past the Wire TV.
Hi, John. Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate the invite.
No, my pleasure, 100%. I appreciate you coming on at especially what is an extremely exciting time for you, I would imagine.
It is for sure. Yeah,
we'll get into that. It's not many times in this game, whether you are a tournament player or a day-to-day player, that you can be playing for quote $5 million.
Yeah.
You know the whole key. Well, one of the many keys, in my opinion, of this game is putting yourself in position to make a big score. You are in that position, and we'll get to that. You're playing for $5 million. We'll get to that. But first, can you tell everybody how you got into horse racing to begin with, whenever that was?
Yeah, sure. Well, actually, the way I got into it, I was really just a young kid and a sports nut. I lived in Chicago, grew up on the South Side, and I was into the Bears and the Blackhawks and every other sports team that Chicago had. And this was like 1990. I was still in college at the time, and that was ended up reading in the newspaper that somehow the Kentucky Derby winner was stabled at Arlington Park. So I considered him a Chicago-based horse. Right. So I said, "Oh well, I'm gonna get involved and start following this horse racing too, because I'm like." All the Kentucky Derby winners always come from New York or California.
Right.
So I was actually kind of impressed that Unbridled had won the thing. And, so I followed his races. I made my first bet in the Breeders' Cup that year where he won.
Okay.
And, the thing about horse racing that really got me into it and really cemented it was, you write fan mail to the Bears or the Blackhawks or whoever it is, and you never get an answer. I actually wrote Carl Nafsker when Unbridled retired, just because I really enjoyed following the horse and everything. And I was like, oh, this is going to suck. He's not running anymore.
Right.
So I wrote him a letter and I sent it to him, and he replied. Not only did he reply, he sent me a videotape that I don't know if he made it personally or someone made it for him. He sent me a videotape of like 6 or 7 of his races, a bunch of his races leading up to the Kentucky Derby and the Kentucky Derby and everything. And I'm like, I was just blown away by that. It was such a kind thing. And for someone who was 23 years old and just getting into the sport, That really kind of salted it away for me. I became a fan, and I really enjoyed just the challenge of trying to figure it out, because as you well know, it's not easy.
No, it isn't. Carl Nasca was a real gentleman. So it's fortunate for you and for the game that he was the guy that you wrote to, because not everybody would have answered, but a lot of people in racing would have, and he's one of the ones that would and did. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, it was really great, and that's kind of what launched me into the game. And um, I've also enjoyed following the pedigree of my favorite horses, beginning with Unbridled and going through his sire line, and just watching their careers unfold, and how all that works. And and I believe I've got a little bit of a betting advantage as a result of some of that, and not just that sire line, but some of the others that I prefer. And really enjoyed expanding all those different kinds of angles to try to put together a winning formula.
Now, when and how did you start to get serious about betting, and betting a respectable amount of money, and really taking it seriously as a game where you can make some scores and really make some serious money? Because I don't want to really get into your personal business too much, but you're a good bettor. You're what we would call a heavy hitter. So how did that whole transition take place?
Well, that's really interesting. I'm actually going to say, I dabbled in Superfectas for a while. My friend Mike Toloney, who got me into the tournaments, and I used to sit together at OTB for a decade at least. Right. And I dabbled in Superfectas and made some scores in the 5 figures with it, but I don't think that's really what you're getting at. I think really there's been a marked change to my success rate and the scores that I'm capable of getting actually through this process of being in the tournaments. Like when I started in the tournaments in 2016, I was fortunate enough to finish 4th in my rookie year. But I always struggled with pick 5s, pick 6s, and things of that nature. I can say I still do, but I always struggled with it prior to the tournaments. What the tournaments taught me, and I really was much more of a 2-to-win place guy when I started the tournaments, just doing the online stuff. But what the tournaments taught me is they forced me to have to handicap races that I used to just shy away from and stay away from. Right. When I was able to choose what I wanted to bet, I would just ignore optional claimers and stuff like that. And it took me about 3 or 4 years to really figure everything out. But when I did, I started realizing I could be a much better multi-race player than I ever was before. And I think you probably share the experience, but I think you can really put yourself in a big position to make a score when you can do that.
Absolutely.
The other thing is then, of course, one of the big prizes in the tournament world is the BCBC, the Breeders' Cup Betting Challenge. It's probably the alter ego, if you will, to the NHC, which is also the other big tournament score that you can have that I'm going to be going for this week. But the BCBC really demands that you concentrate your opinion, whether it's a trifecta, an exacta, or whatever it is, a win ticket, etc. You concentrate your opinion, you find deep betting value, and you smash the thing hell out of the park. And I played 2 BCBCs where I realized after the fact that I had exactly the right horses to win the tournament. I didn't bet them. And I did like a regression analysis on everything that I did of what I bet and the position I was in and how many winners I picked. And I started realizing I was picking as many, if not more, winners than the people that are winning these tournaments. The difference is I wasn't betting the opinion with any kind of conviction. the big story I could tell is in 2017. I loved Good Magic. I was telling everybody I went to the track with, all the, friends that are amateur bettors, if you don't bet this Good Magic horse, you can't come to the track with me again. The horse goes off at 11-1. I had like a $9,000 bankroll or something at the time. And I ended up chickening out of doing a big win ticket on it. I bet $400 on him to win, and I bet like maybe $1,500 worth of trifectas with him on top, which would have got the job done if they hit, but I happened to leave Solomini only in third place. And of course, he runs second and beats Bolt Doro. So I'm getting a little lengthy here on you, but basically,
that's good. That's good.
The learnings from that of how to screw it up really led me to, okay, when you play these cash tournaments, you got to hit your opinion. You got to hit it hard.
Right.
And that change in my thinking and my thought process, really, that combined with the lesson of how to be a better multi-race player, because you got to be able to handicap the races you don't like too. Those two things put me in a position now where just over the last 3 to 4 years, I've developed into somebody that can hit the big pick six and somebody who's going to bet their opinion hard in a tournament like Pegasus or Breeders' Cup or whatever.
All right.
That's where the scores come from.
Love that. Got to give a shout out to McMahon Thoroughbreds of Saratoga, because they're one of our sponsors, and they stand Solomini, who beat you out for second.
Yeah.
My good friend Ray DiStefano owns a piece of them and stands them over there. So I'll have some shares, and give a shout out to good old Solomini standing in New York up near Saratoga. Interestingly enough, and we'll talk a little about the difference between cash playing and playing in tournaments. I've never really played tournaments. I played in one handicapping for horses tournament up at Saratoga, where there were a couple of NHC winners in there, like Michael Baychuk was in there and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And it was $20 to win every day at a meet on one horse for Saratoga. And I told my friend, I said, there's nobody that could beat me in this format. Nobody. I don't care who it is. Over the course of a meet, I'll come out ahead of any one of these guys. And I pretty much went wire to wire. There was a point the last week of the meet where it started getting close. And I joked to my friend. He was like, look at this. You was good all meet. Now they're going to, pass you deep stretch. And listen, I'm taking a breather. Don't even worry about it. And I got lucky. I hit a big price horse, put me back up there. And I think Michael Baychuk made a good run the last day and hit a nice price and came second. But I did win it. Okay. Nice. Donated the money to the Thoroughbred Aftercare Alliance. Won a lot of money. I think $10,000. I don't remember. Something like that was the winning prize. Mm-hmm. And really, I think I played one other tournament online in my entire life. And I just can't get my arms around the format. And I'll give you an example, and we can talk about it. I've always felt there's a BCBC tournament with my name on it. I've never played. Okay. I don't like, and it's something you alluded to earlier, Kevin, the mandatory wages. You have to bet certain races. Now, had I been in your situation the way I play with Good Magic, and my bankroll was 9,000, I'd have bet 8,000 to win at 11-1 and $1,000 exacta, Good Magic on top of just one horse, just one old $1,000 exacta. And if I won both, I would figure, okay, this one bet might be enough if I hit the exacta to put me in position to win the tournament. But what gets me and what I can't get by is like the minimum mandatory wages. Like, for example, this past Breeders' Cup, if I bought in for, 15,000 to buy in, or 10,000 to buy in, right?
Yeah,
so they give you 7,500 of your 10, right? I wouldn't play to qualify. I'd put the 7,500 up. I'd have bet 7,500 to win in Spiral. I'd have bet whatever I got back on August Rodin, who might not have been the winner had Michael Toloney's horse had a better trip.
It's true.
But that wouldn't have mattered because he didn't. So I would have won. And then
Right.
I would have bet whatever I got back on that on White Barrio. So I would have
Yeah.
bet those 3 horses.
There you go.
And I think that would have won me the tournament. Okay. But I can't do it that way. And once you start getting me old school guy, hard to teach an old dog new tricks, you know, I adapt my cash play, you know, to the way the game is today, as opposed to the way it was 10 and 20 years ago, even 5 years ago, let alone 30 years ago, because I've been doing it that long. I can adapt to certain things. I can't have you give me a $7,500 bankroll and I've got to make 3 or 4 bets that I don't want to make the first day. You know what I mean? So it just takes me out of my game. You know, and, you know, people, you know, Tommy Hammer Massis, who's a BCBC winner, you know, says, no, you got to approach it this way. You could do it. You know, Michael Toloney, who we both know, who bets like an animal. You know, he tells me
two of the best cash players that I know.
Yeah, no, both excellent. You know, Hammer bets more my style than Michael does, but both excellent, you know, players. And they both try and you know, school me on how, you know, you can with your style still do it. You know, I can't get past it. You know, so maybe you could talk.
I would hazard a guess the way to do it would be if you find something you like the first day, you hammer that,
right,
and then the mandatory bets are rounding.
I haven't been that lucky. You know what I mean? Right. I you know, every year, the last 2 or 3 years since I had a heart-to-heart with Hammer about it, I'm like, okay, if I like something early on Friday, I'll buy in and I'll play. And it just hasn't worked out that way for me. You know, I'm like, oh, I like this, I like that. Late on, you know, Saturday, you know, so I just haven't played yet. Maybe this year will be different. I don't know. But talk a little bit about the differences, because you're a cash player to begin with, and you know, talk a little bit about the differences between cash playing and tournament playing, and also, if you can, talk a little bit about being in the BCBC or in the NHC, and if you could play separately cash play on those days as well, so you're kind of wearing 2 hats.
Yeah, well, actually, I think I could speak to that a little bit, John. You know, like, one of the things I've done successfully twice is I've played the horse tourneys 2-to-1 play stuff concurrently with the BCBC Breeders' Cup Betting Challenge, and I also play my pick 5s and pick 6s. Wow! So I basically I've got like 3 different angles to make a score, right? And you know, like the one thing that I'll say with the 2-to-1 place in the horse tourneys tournaments is, if you look at the Breeders' Cup sequence this year, you know, the pick 6 sequence, No Balls was the biggest winner. I think the thing didn't it pay like $6,000 for a dollar? Is that about right?
That probably.
I think it was like 6,000 for a dollar. It might have been 14,000. Maybe I was wrong. But anyway, the moral of the story is there were a lot of chalks coming in. You know, Auguste Rodin, like you said. I think Inspiral is part of the sequence, I think, but maybe she was earlier.
She might have been a little earlier, but yeah.
Maybe, yeah. But you get the idea. There were a lot of chalks coming in. No Balls was really the only one who was a substantial price.
Right.
And, you know, Elite Power wins. And, well, if you grab the lead early in those 2-to-1 place tournaments, you know, where you have the bully pulpit, as I like to say, and you get to pick whoever you want to win the race. You don't have to be stabbing at long shots. And you just walked all 6 of those chalks that happened to hit in the pick 6 because they were just the best horse in the race. Well, you got paid $36,000 for winning a horse tourneys thing. If you play exactly those same horses in the pick 6, you would have had to play a $6 or $7 pick 6 to get that score.
Right.
So it's a good way to use the tools of having the different pots of money to hedge yourself in, or not even hedge. I don't even know if that's the right word, but you can set yourself up for a score with the 2 to win place. You can set yourself up for a score with the BCBC, where you find a trifecta with value-laden horses, which is exactly what ended up happening with me as I hit the turf sprint for a $75 trifecta. And the other thing you can do is, part of the thing that set me up for that is I had my pick 6 ticket rolling, and I had my pick 5 ticket rolling. And a lot of the double-digit horses that could have busted up my horse tourneys, or maybe even upset the apple cart on my trifectas, I had them covered in the pick 6 and the pick 5. So I really had it where I may not have won the tournament, I may not have won the online thing, but I put myself in a position where I had multiple opportunities to make a substantial score at Breeders' Cup. And the ones that happened to come through was the cash betting tournament with the big trifecta, and I ended up finishing 11th because I kind of botched the last race. And then and the horse tourneys, the online thing, because I pushed all the right buttons of the only long shot I took was No Balls, and he's the one that won, and everybody else was a 2 to 1 or 5 to 2 shot.
Let's talk a little bit about No Balls, because I had made a few decent bets on that horse at different points in his career. He killed me on Breeders' Cup Day. I needed Big Invasion, who I thought had a pretty bad trip on the inside, and I felt like I should have won, but that wound up costing me a decent wager, and I didn't use No Balls at all. And I went back at Big Invasion, but I did have a ticket with a couple of other horses on that race. I would say a pretty big spread for me, maybe 5 or 6 horses. No Balls wasn't one of them. And I watched his replay. I think he had run his last race before that at Colonial Downs. And I watched the replay 3 or 4 times because I knew he was a horse I had bet before. I respect Larry Ravelli. He's a dangerous trainer, and he's a guy I've been making scores on for years. Now he's kind of on the radar, but there was a time when he really wasn't, especially when he would ship out of Chicago. And I just couldn't use No Balls off that last race at Colonial Downs. Looked like he struggled with a lot lesser horses. I couldn't make a case that he needed that race and was going to go forward. And I tossed him, and it wound up costing me. You used them and liked them. So talk a little bit about your handicapping arsenal, past performances, replays, and Thoroughgraph, anything like that. What do you do to prepare for a day at the races and a tournament like the one coming up where you'll be playing for a ridiculous bonus that we'll talk about? So
yeah, happy to. I think and I'd be interested when I'm done to get your opinion on this, because I'm not really sure that it's true, but it's just something I believe, and I bet it that way, and it happened to work. And I will tell you this, I'm going to give a little bonus comment too, because I think No Balls cuts both ways here with both me and you.
Okay.
And I think I told you the story when we talked a couple of months ago on the phone, but I think it'd be good for people to hear.
Right. Yeah.
So, No Balls was a horse that I really was looking at in his 3-year-old season. And going into the Saratoga meet, I was analyzing his form as a 3-year-old in turf sprints against all the other horses that were going to be at the meet, including Big Invasion. And I'd come to the conclusion that No Balls had a tactical advantage with speed. And in the turf sprints, I felt that he would be able to get the lead and hold it against, other very good 3-year-old sprinters, Big Invasion being the key one that he had to beat. I remember pretty clearly it was early in the meet in Saratoga, and they were facing each other for the first time. And No Balls was, I think, the 3-1 or maybe 7-2 second choice, and Big Invasion was the chalk. And I'm like, you know what? I think he's got him. I think he's going to beat him today. And turned out I was wrong. Big Invasion beat him and beat him well, and No Balls didn't even run second. I think he ran up the track. Well, I remember when he was coming back in subsequent races that I kept saying, well, I liked him the first time. I never want to jump off a horse just because they have one bad performance or one subpar performance. So I kept betting him back 3 or 4 times. Like I bet him like about 4, maybe even 5 times over the course of his 3-year-old summer and then his 4-year-old winter, which I think was in Gulfstream, but I honestly don't remember. And finally, we get to Kentucky Derby Day last year. And I'm looking at the pick 6 for Kentucky Derby Day because I know it's a mandatory payout, even though it's 20 cents. And I'm like, I got to play this thing because I really like Mage in the Kentucky Derby. I saw the Florida Derby, the whole thing. And I really liked Web Slinger because I respected what he did at Monmouth Park. I think closers on the turf have a tougher time at Monmouth than they do at, say, Churchill or maybe Keeneland. So I really respected Web Slinger's chances at a big number. And I'm looking at the first race, and I'm looking at all these horses, all these sprinters, and I'm like, it's turf sprint. I got to go deep here. I got to use a bunch of horses because my opinions aren't as strong. And I get to no balls, and I'm like, this little pig has burned so much of my damn money. Get him the hell off my ticket. He's not worth the 20-cent denomination, much less all the amount of money that I'm going to have to pour in to cover him. Right. So I play my $200 or $300 ticket. No ball's not on the ticket. I'm 7 deep in the turf sprint.
Oh,
no balls wins. He wires the field at 38 to 1.
I know. I used him that day and didn't use Web Slinger. Go ahead.
Yeah. I hit the 5 for $7. That pick 6 paid $1.1 million. I cut him off the ticket for probably what would have been $24, $30 something combination. And I'm sitting there, I would have depreciated it down to $730,000. But so I have that as a backdrop going into the Breeders' Cup, jumping off this horse. And but to the question you asked, which I have a bad habit of doing this, the question you asked is, I felt that, and this is where I want to know if you agree with this because I don't know if it's true. I felt that with his running style, that he would have had a harder time at a track like Colonial or Churchill or Keeneland, and that Santa Anita, assuming that it's nice firm turf, might bring out the best in him. So I actually had, the way that I played it, I had some confidence because I hit that try for $75, whether Big Invasion wins or no balls win. The only thing that it would have cost me is it would have cost me the 2 to win place online, but the BCBC, I would have had it either way.
Right.
So that's why I love playing trifectas in these cash tournaments. But anyway, basically the key opinion was those are the 2 best turf sprinters in the country. And at Santa Anita, if I'm going to give the edge to anybody, if Santa Anita with firm turf, I'm going to take the one that's got more speed. And that's really all it boiled down to. And well, the other thing it boiled down to, John, is I'm like, this horse owes me a lot of money. So let's see if he can give it back to me.
Yeah. I'll weigh in a little bit with my thoughts on that. I think you're definitely on the right track as far as Santa Anita's turf sprints on that hard, firm course being a lot more speed friendly than a track like Colonial or Churchill Downs. So I think you're absolutely spot on with that, Kevin. The only caveat that I would add is that sometimes you have to, or at least I would, also factor in how much other speed is in the race. I mean, if the pace looks like it's going to be really contested, even though you may be on a speed-friendly course, you kind of got to hope for a little luck trip-wise, But you're more likely to get it on the front end at Santa Anita than you would at Colonial or Churchill. So yeah, I think you're on the right track. And No Balls is a funny horse for the 2 of us because I had him that day at Churchill at 38 to 1. Didn't have Web Slinger, and that was a tough beat. So that horse cost me two tough beats. And I think the day that you bet him at Saratoga, I think that might have been one of the days that I bet him pretty good myself. And I remember thinking, and I don't normally let these kind of things fact, but I was like, serves me right for betting a horse with the name No Balls. I'm like, what's wrong with me? How do I bet a horse named No Balls? I mean, and expect to win. But one of the things that I do that I think takes a lot of discipline. Okay. And we touched base the other day on this when we were talking yesterday a little bit when we were going back and forth. I firmly believe that to beat the game long term, you have to be willing to go against human nature and cash less tickets but win more money. So in other words, be willing to use less horses and have the ticket more times and be willing to tear some of them up and erase those losses when you're right by making it count when you're right. And that goes against human nature. We all want to instinctively cash as many tickets as possible. And we think that's we're programmed to think that that's the key to success. And I don't believe that it is. I think the key is backing your opinion, understanding that you're going to be wrong more than right, but when you're right, making it count and erasing those deficits from the red column. So when I look at a race or a horse like No Balls, I try and, to the best of my ability and discipline, black out everything I've done with that horse before. I don't want to be in a position, well, I got to use him because I used him last time, or I don't want to use him because I didn't use him last time. And sometimes it's hard to do because I'll find myself structuring a multi-race ticket and saying, how can I let this horse beat me? I loved him last time. And if I can't find a legit excuse, I'll do my best to toss him. Now, sometimes I just can't, but a lot of times I will. And it has stung me several times, because sometimes there's an excuse or a legit excuse that we just don't know or can't find, but it's there, and it has, come back and bit me on the behind, several times. But I think, I try and think in the terms of the long run, and over the course of a year, how can I be the most profitable? And, when I play, a lot of people play, there are very few people that beat the game. But when I was playing for a living, I depended on winning. And that didn't mean that I could get by grinding out a small ROI. I had to win enough to cover my lifestyle and my expenses. And if I didn't, I was in a financial situation that I really had no backup way out of, which is a tough life, and I was able to do that for, over 2 decades. Don't think I could do it today, but part of, my discipline and the things I've learned come from being in that position. So I had to be disciplined. You know what I mean? I had to be able to go to the racetrack with $5, $10, $15, $20, $25,000 in my pocket. And if I didn't like something, not bet. A lot of people can't do that.
It's a major skill for success in this game.
I take credit for it only because I had to become that way, because too many times during the course of that, 2+ decades, I found myself in trouble, with nowhere to turn. So I'm like, okay, how do I prevent this? By not making stupid bets, by not being at the track, bullshitting with people and betting something just because I'm there and I want some action. I'm not here for action like everybody else. I'm not here compulsively like everybody. I'm here because I'm working,
Right.
So I used to sit by myself. I didn't want to talk to anybody. I didn't want to deal with anybody. I didn't want anybody asking me who I liked. And I didn't want to ask anybody else who they liked, So I was, aloof. My dad was still alive for a good portion of that time. And he was a sociable guy. And it took me a while to convince him, Dad, stop inviting people over to the table. It distracts me. They want to talk. They want to know who I like. They want to know this. They want to know. Because, back then it was different. you know, the people at the track knew who the big bettors were, and I was betting a significant amount of money.
Mhm.
And you know, they knew who the dangerous players were that you know hit big when you're up in a restaurant and you hit big. People can tell. So you know, a lot of people wanted to know who I liked or who I was betting. I didn't want to even be asked. You know, I didn't want to necessarily cold shoulder anybody who did ask me. And if I knew you and you came up and asked me, I would probably tell you. But most people didn't
I
ask
understand
the way
exactly
I
what you're
carried
saying.
myself. You know,
Yeah.
most people didn't come
Yeah.
over because of the way I carried myself. But I didn't want that. You know, now the game is different. I went to, and you could probably relate. I went to the Fountain of Youth at Gulfstream Park. I sat paddock side, really nice table, great view. I had music blasting from a speaker all day long in my ear. I left there with a hoarse voice because to talk to my friends next to me, you had to talk like you were in a nightclub, you know what I mean, over the music. It was very hard to focus and make what I would call game time decisions. Now, the day wound up not much of a betting day anyway. There was a lot of chalk, scratches, this, that. So it didn't wind up costing me anything. But if it was a day that I wanted to bet serious money, it would have been much better to be home betting right from here, quiet, nice,
Yeah.
than,
Yeah.
you know, sitting over there trying to focus, you know, over that music. So,
Right.
Do you find any of that at the NHC or at the BC where there's distractions and you know, you might be better off playing from home? And which do you prefer at this point in your career?
You know, I do like playing on track. I think you're right about the distractions. It is what it is. You know, I guess part of it for me for on track, I do like being there. And with the NHC tour, the thing that I won the championship to twice, you get rewarded for being on track. You get like 25% more qualifying points than you get if you're on at home.
Right.
So, but anyway, I do enjoy being there. But yeah, you have to fight the distractions. That's for sure. You know, I think the thing with me, and you know, like I do enjoy bringing some friends to the track here and there. But you know, one of the big problems I have is a lot of people just don't understand how much mental focus and energy it takes to lay out a multi-race sequence of tickets. When you got to lay out your tickets and say, I got to put this horse here, key this one on this ticket, key the other one on the other ticket. Here's my outliers. Here's my partial keys, you know, ABC metric, the whole thing. That's a
Right.
lot of work to have to lay that out.
I agree.
And if you get interrupted, especially if you get interrupted in the middle of trying to punch it in, you can miss one or miss two. And God forbid the one you miss is the one that would have hit. But yeah, you know, I think with regard to your comments on the betting, I agree with that too. You know, Tommy Massis was good with me, and he showed me a little bit of how he presses his opinion. And you know, honestly, you know, he was showing me on pick fours and pick fives, but it can be done with trifectas and superfectas just as easily.
Absolutely.
And I think one of the things I really would like to say to anybody, you know, any of your show listeners is one of the spin-off benefits of pressing your opinion. Don't just play that pick five for 50 cents. You can play a base ticket for 50 cents, but you got to go back there and press your primary opinion, $1, $2, $3. One of the best things about doing
My
that.
go back ticket. My go back ticket, I call that.
Yeah. Is one of the best things about that is you learn, is my best opinion really the best one? That you'll learn that very quickly, because if you're only hitting the 50-cent ticket, why am I never hitting the $1 ticket or the $2 ticket? You know, and I think when you go back and you do the regression analysis on yourself and you see why I didn't do that, maybe you start pressing different horses next time. Like what it does is it teaches you what really is my best opinion. And is my
Right.
best opinion on target or not? And if all you ever do is just play the 50-cent minimum denomination or whatever, are you really learning that? How are you really learning? Did I really sharpen my opinion and focus it here?
That's an excellent point.
That was
Excellent.
one thing that was one thing I wanted to share. The other thing I thought is talked a little bit about Tommy and what he helped me with. Mike is almost like the polar opposite. And I saw Mike do something once at a meet at Gulfstream that I'd never seen in horse racing, and I don't think I'll ever see it again. I saw him hit 27 pick six tickets in one meet.
That's
Not in a
amazing.
career. 27 pick six tickets in one meet.
Right.
Never seen it before. And these weren't like garden variety pick sixes. I specifically remember 2 of them were $24,000 and $27,000.
Right.
And this was back when you had the 10-cent denomination for the rainbow.
Right.
And it's just a special skill that I think he has that I don't think I have. I fall much more into that. You got to find your best opinions. You have to press them. You can have your fallback ticket, like you said, your 50 center, but you got to press your best opinions. That's the only
Right.
way you'll overcome the takeout in the long run, is by nailing your best opinions. If you don't nail your best opinions, you just get watered down by the takeout
Right.
over time. But what he did at Gulfstream and what he's been able to do in his career, he just has this uncanny knack for knowing where to single, where to spread, and where those big prices are going to come from. And I think if you're really, really good at that, like you got to be better than I am at it. If you're really, really good at that, maybe you can just hit volumes of tickets a la human nature.
I don't
He
know
can do it,
how he
but
could
I
possibly.
can't.
I mean, that is truly an amazing feat. But he's an animal of a better. He shares a lot of his bets with me, and we talk a lot. And he's like you said, he's got a knack for knowing where to single. And usually it's not chalk. He usually singles a horse that's not chalk, and he spreads in races where big prices pop. And he's a dangerous player. My critique of him, and we go back and forth on this all the time, is he's spread all over the place sometimes. You know what I mean? I'm like, he goes, well, I hedged with this horse who I knew could win, and I had, he's a lot more, because he's very, he's just as dangerous with day trading as he is with horses. So
stock market.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So he knows, a lot about hedging and this and that and protecting his investment. And he's playing with a significant amount of money. So he's kind of in a position where he's got to look at that, where I'm not playing for nearly the amount of money that he's playing for. So I never hedge. If I come alive in the last leg of a pick six, let's say I've got the single, the 5, you know what I mean? Or 3 horses, or even a bunch of horses. And I know there's other horses that could beat me. You'll never see me hedge. Like people that say, oh, let me bet these other horses to win to cover my. No, I'll do the exact opposite. I'll take the one I like the best that I'm alive with and double down on that one. You know what I mean? I'll bet him, on top of, a couple of $500 exactas or $200 exactas or something. This way, if he wins, bang, I hit the pick six, I hit the exacta, I'll take the triple, the super, all with that horse on top. And if one of the ones that I didn't use beat me, I don't hedge. I'm willing to lose.
Yeah.
But when I win, I'm going to get paid, and I'm going to erase a lot of those deficits. So I'll sacrifice the hedge. You follow me? With the long-term outlook of saying, okay, I didn't get this one home, but maybe I'll get the next one or the one after that or the one after that home. When you play it the way I do, it doesn't matter. I've only got to be right 2 or 3 out of 10 times, and I'm going to do that over the long period. You follow me?
Yeah,
so
that's a great record in this sport. So
that's how I play it, and it's worked for me. And one of the things I always tell people that look to me for any kind of, I say, listen, if you're winning and you're successful and you're beating the game, don't fix it. Do what works for you. It doesn't matter what works for me. Do what works for you. And I think that's important. And like you said, knowing what your good bets are is a significant advantage. A lot of people don't even know that. They get roped into playing the multi-race wagers when they might be better with exactors or triples or superfectors, because they get lured into that. And everybody seems to think that that's the only way to make a big score. It's not. I've made ridiculous scores on superfectors, and everybody's going after the pick 5 or the pick 6 with the carryover or this or that. And I'm like, you know what? I like this 10, 15 to 1 shot. I would normally single them into pick 6, but I don't like the rest of the sequence. I think there's a lot of dangerous races. I'm not comfortable. I'm just going to play them in the super, and invest all that money there. And a couple of times it's really been the way to go, because there's, a race that would have knocked me out of the pick 6, or it chalks out, you know what I mean? And, nowadays, the way the pick 6 is, one long shot's not enough.
Yeah.
You need 2 or 3 to really make it count. Used to be when it was the $2, traditional pick 6, and there weren't all these 50-cent pick 4s and pick 5s that were diluting that $2 pick 6 pool. Normal day at Naira, the pool was anywhere with no carryover, 100, 150,000. Now they're putting up there, 30,000 in the pick 6, rah, rah, rah. It doesn't even get my attention. You know what I mean? It's almost not, it's not worth it really to play. So, you have to be able to evolve and adapt. You're playing for a phenomenal bonus, and we'll be rooting for you big time. I would love to see you take that home. And if you do, we'll get you back on and talk a little bit about it. But let me ask you this. When you handicap, what will you be doing? Reading the form, watching replays, combination of what?
Sure.
What is your preparation for a day like that involved?
So my prep for NHC, I've already started it. I'm pretty well through Friday. Still waiting to check my opinions versus the morning line on Friday, but I'm pretty well through that and starting to work into Saturday right now. I've noticed at NHC, when you're playing against 600 other people, I'm not going to say that I won't pick any 2-to-1 or 4-to-1 horses, but I'm really going to press my opinions for the longer priced horses, whether it's 8-to-1, 15-to-1, whatever. If I have any inkling that the 15-to-1 has got a decent shot compared to the 3-to-1, I'm going to take the 15-to-1. Doesn't mean I won't take a 3-to-1 if I think they got the field over a barrel and I think they're highly likely to win. But I'm going to be looking the other direction. The big thing with the prep for me, and I think one of the things that differentiates me from a lot of players, is I'm a little bit of a pedigree snob. I like following certain sire lines. One of my friends, Ken Spadoni, had got me into following the quality of the Dam Side family. He's a good handicapper from up in the Bay Area. And the more I've been paying attention to the Dam Side, not just if the Dam is like a stakes winner or a graded stakes winner, but has the Dam produced other winners herself. Some of the best value plays that I seem to get are from dams where they're either unraced or they have a nondescript race career, but they've produced multiple stakes winners themselves. And a lot of times you can find horses being produced by a dam like that'll go off at 20 or 30-to-1. So I'll be researching the pedigree on as many of the horses that I can. There's like 60 or 70 races a day that you're pouring through the form. And if it's 8 horses or 10 horses a race, that's a lot of horses to check the pedigree on. But, I'll check the ones on the ones that I think look interesting. And when I find value combined with pedigree, maybe combined with a couple of other handicapping angles, like I think they can get the lead, or I think there's a lot of pace in the race and they can come from out of it, I'll combine as many of those factors as I can, with the betting value being the driving force behind it. So
Now,
that's
where do
really
you
where I'm
go?
going to be going for it in this year's NHC, is with those type of angles.
For those who don't know, where do you go to look up a dam and see if she's produced stake winners or something like that? Where do you go online to do that?
So the Racing Post has a lot of that. I've been using Equibase mostly myself, just to get the dams record.
Right.
The way I do the lookup on Equibase, it doesn't per se give me the dam's progeny, but I think Racing Post has that. So I've typically been looking at what her own production is. And then the rest of it, like, do I know that the dam has produced other winners? Honestly, that's where the 32 years of playing this game comes into play.
I
Is,
agree.
like I'll remember Sahara Wind produced a Breeders' Cup winner, or not Breeders' Cup winner or runner. Maybe it was a Breeders' Cup runner. I can't remember the name of the horse right now, but I know she produced one
I
horse that
think it was
ran
a
in the
winner,
Breeders' Cup.
actually. Yeah, I think
The
she
winner,
produced
yeah,
a winner. Yeah.
and
I don't.
she's got a
I don't
progeny
remember, but
running.
right. Yeah. No.
She's got a progeny
I
running
agree.
on NHC week. So
I always tell people one of the best things or tools for gaining an edge is memory, because a lot of times now he seems to have overcome that uh stigma that people used to say. But people used to say, oh, Bill Mott never wins with first time starters, and they'd be like, these people are nuts. What are they talking about? I can remember 100 first time starters Bill Mott has won with in the past 30 years. What are they
yeah,
talking about? And I'd catch him at Saratoga at 15-1, 18-1, because in Formulator it'd be like, first time starters, his percentage was 5 or 10%. Doesn't matter on any given Sunday. If you like one, or they have that pedigree, or they
mm-hmm.
have a workout pattern that if you watch
Yeah.
certain trainers, the ones that are really ready sometimes have different patterns than the ones that are going to need a race or working up to a race. And I'd catch him with all these first time starters at big prices, and everybody was saying, wow, the guy never wins with first timers. I'm like, he's been winning with first timers as far back as I can remember. When he was training for Bertram Firestone, he would win with first time starters.
Yeah.
So you gain an edge with your memory, and that's one of the advantages I think the older players like us have over some of the younger players, because they just haven't been around long enough, and there are some things that just come with experience and come with memory that you can't teach or you can't look up.
Yeah.
Uh,
I mean, I could even add to that a little bit, John. I mean, I think this is the right quote from the movie or something, but the first rule about Fight Club is there are no rules.
right.
I
Exactly right.
mean, you have angles, but you have
Right.
to weigh them all. You can't just get,
100%.
this is the golden panacea, and I'm going to win every race if I just follow this one angle.
Right.
No,
Yeah.
it's not going to
Yeah,
work
no,
that way.
that's why, like I told you earlier, I don't follow horses per se. I look at every race like it's a
Mhm.
brand new book, and just study it and handicap it and analyze it with
Yeah.
no preconceived bias, because
Yeah.
that's just how I approach it. You know what I mean? I'm like, it doesn't matter what happened last month. It doesn't matter that the Breeders' Cup Juvenile has only produced 2 Kentucky Derby winners since they've been running it. If I like a
Oh, yeah.
horse that won the Breeders' Cup Juvenile on the Derby, I'm betting him. I'm not saying, you know what I mean? Any given Sunday, if this is the year it happens,
Yeah.
it happens. It was only
Right.
a matter of time till somebody took down that Apollo curse or Apollo jinx. You know what I mean? I don't
Yeah.
let things, I'm aware of them peripherally, and I consider them, everything, but I will not let that sway me.
Yeah.
I want to ask you this because you're a big bettor and you take it seriously. I consider it an advantage, but a lot of people don't. Okay, there are certain riders that I will. Let's say I like a horse a lot and I want to make a big bet on a horse, and I analyze the race and I look, and there's a certain rider on him that I just not in love with. Okay, I will significantly scale back a bet. Okay. And I'm saying a horse on like Breeders' Cup Day that I might be willing to bet 5, 10, 15, 20,000 on, which you can get away with on Breeders' Cup Day. Okay. You can bet 20,000 on a horse and not affect your price. Certain riders I will not do that on. Okay. There are certain riders I am very reluctant to single in a large pick six ticket. Like if I've got a pick six ticket for 3 or 4 or 5,000 on Breeders' Cup Day, and it involves singling a horse I like a lot, but a certain rider, and I'm not just talking about one, just one of several is on the horse, I'll scale back a lot or have to rethink because I just won't single them. How do you feel about that? Are you the same way, or are you of the school that you put the right on any horse they can win?
Yeah. I think one of the things that I'm probably less developed on, for better for worse, is really knowing grading jockeys. But I don't factor in a whole lot. I don't think that's because it isn't important. I think it's just because it's maybe a little bit of a personal blind spot for me. Like I don't know differences much. I know some differences, like I know some of the good ones. And
we lost Mr. Costello. Hopefully we'll get him right back. I think he's been a fascinating guest so far. Hopefully we can get him right back. Let's hang tight. Here he is. We lost you for a second.
Yeah. So I think I was saying, like, I know some of the good ones, but the only thing that I pay a lot of attention to is which jockey, which trainer puts on which horse. And sometimes I try to figure out, well, I know this guy's the barn jockey for this guy. And I know it looks like this guy is just an also ran. He needed to put a warm body on the horse. So he just picked this guy because and sometimes that'll give me some clues. And then sometimes I'll say, oh, he put the bug boy on the horse that he wants to go to the lead with, or things like that. I'll just make these inferences. They may or may not be true.
Right.
But I don't. There are a couple of jockeys that maybe I have some trepidation on if I'm going to have to single them. Yeah, I could say that, but I don't think it's all that front and center for me. But I do think I do understand where you're coming from with that. Like, one of the jockeys I know, like Julian Leparoux, I think has a reputation for liking to come off the pace with horses. And if I'm in a position where I think I want to single one of his mounts, well, then I want to make sure that the horse isn't going to be pace compromised, because then that would go counter to his style. Now, if I think there's speed in the race, then I have no problem singling him.
Right.
But if I think the pace might be shaky and I know his style is to, rate his horses and relax them and all that, well, then, yeah, I'm going to have trepidation making a single there. But generally speaking, John, I think you're just better versed with the puts and takes on the jockeys than I am. So there's not a lot of that factors into the way I play.
All right. Now, when are you heading out west?
Yeah, so we're going to leave tomorrow. So we'll get into Las Vegas on Wednesday afternoon. There's a little pre-tournament called First Chance, Last Chance on Thursday, which I've made a habit of playing it every year, because big part of the reason why I get qualified for the bonuses is that tournament offers an awful lot of points towards the tour. And the first year I won the tour in 2021, I won the last chance the day before NHC, and really powered me to the front. And that was the reason I had my first opportunity at the big bonus. So, we'll get out there Wednesday. I'll play the Thursday tournament as a nice little warm up. Hopefully I can do well and set myself up for next year for the tour. And then, by come Friday, I'll have plenty of prep time. I'll be pretty well prepped for Friday and Saturday. And hopefully I can put up some good numbers and go into Sunday in good shape.
And playing for a $5 million bonus, which we will be rooting for you big time to win. Will you be playing outside the tournament as well while you're playing for this bonus?
Yeah, I'll play some cash bets. Yeah,
that's
I hate to say it, John. I can't help myself.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Here we got a guy playing for a $5 million bonus in the NHC tournament, and he's making side cash bets. I love it. I love it.
If I love a pick five, I gotta play it.
I don't know. Here's the biggest challenge for me. What you do that I could never do. Okay, I never could compete with you here. I don't know how you have the time or the patience to handicap all these races and know what's going on and do the pick fives. If I was playing that NHC, I would have to be so focused. I would be worried I'm not going to finish the 2 cards in time. I wouldn't be on a show with me now.
Yeah.
It'd be like locked up. Everybody get out of here. Leave me alone. Overwhelmed. Takes me 3, 4 hours, 5 hours to do a pick 4, pick 5 sequence.
Yeah.
How am I going to do this? I can never tracks, different races. What's the mandatory race at that track? Where, who, how? I don't even know this track. I'm like, forget about it. I could never do it. I don't know how you do it. It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Well, I made myself a tool to help. It's a spreadsheet, and it really helps me focus spatially with time about what race is coming up when and where are my best opinions. And that's all the work that I've been doing starting on actually Saturday this weekend, is starting to lay that out for each day. And I got Friday ready, working on Saturday. And when you have that all spatially laid out in front of you, it makes it so much easier.
Right. Yeah, no, that's beautiful that you're able to do that. I would have to come up with some kind of system, because I don't even know how to. I wouldn't even know how to approach it. Honestly, I'd be like, you know what? I'm at a big disadvantage here. I can't even get to those races, so I got no idea who I like because I didn't even look at them yet. I'm not even done. I wouldn't be done with Friday's card. You'd be able to be betting on Saturday. I got no shot at that. It's a Breeders' Cup. I got a fighting chance. I can do the work. You know what I mean? I go to the Breeders' Cup with bullets in the gun. I'm ready. I'm prepared. Not just. I could never win it. I won't even try. BCBC, like I said, I believe if I play, there's one with my name on it. I may never find out because I may never play. But this thing could never win it. Never win it in that format. Never. So that's why I don't go after it. So it's outside my wheelhouse for sure, but I'm glad you can do it.
I can get it done, John. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, no, that listen, you're the only 2-time NTRA Tour champion. That's an accomplishment. Okay, if you add this to your resume, you go right into the. You're probably already in there, but I think there should be a betting Hall of Fame. It's difficult to find the right parameters and to actually verify, because like one of the most dangerous bettors that I know, okay, that probably wins as much as anybody, is completely under the radar. You know, his ADW, all right, which he was reluctant to ever get an ADW. He used to go to the track and make his bets because he was just a cash bettor. But ultimately, he acquiesced to that. But his ADW is under his wife's name. He's not on any social media. He never tells anybody what he bets, how much he bets. He doesn't want rebates. He doesn't give a hoot about that. You know what I mean? And he's a very dangerous bettor. He's become now a pick 5 bettor. Only bets in California because of the pool size out there. And that's it. He just does the pick 5. every Saturday and Sunday. It's all he does. It's all he bets. Doesn't bet during the week. Gets the PPs early. Pick 5 Saturday, Sunday out in California, either Santa Anita or Del Mar. And he bets them hard, 10, 20, 30, $40 pick 5s. And I've seen him take down, $100,000, $200,000 hits 5, 6, 7 times a year, 8, 9 times. Yeah, I mean, he's just dangerous, laser focused on that, and discipline, has the discipline. He's my brother.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of folks.
A little biased. He's my brother, so I'm a little biased, but he's damn good. Yeah, he's damn good.
Yeah.
And now we've gotten to the point where we used to talk about the races in detail. Now, when we talk about the race on the weekend, I say, listen, I got no time, got a million things going on. Who's the single? That's all I want to know. And he's right about 75% of the time.
Yeah.
Deadly.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
He loses, it's usually not with the single, which is amazing.
Well, and I do think there's a lot of folks, maybe not a lot there, but there's a few folks that have nothing to do with the tournament world. They just play cash the old-fashioned way,
right?
And they do it very well, And there's a number of them out there. I mean, there's not a lot, because I think we probably agree that what's the statistic? 2%, 5%, 1% of people actually make money.
I always like high. Yeah, I'm curious what you think. I've had people tell me it's 1 or 2%. I think it's 5, because I think there's a couple of sneaky people out there that do it and nobody knows about it. You know what I mean? And
I would agree with that.
I would say it's about 5% of the players.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
Kevin, safe travels. May
thank you.
Everything go your way. Windows photos, get the bobs, and get lucky out there, man. That's phenomenal, man. I'll be rooting for you like it was me, man. Really, I will. I want you to win it, man. It'd be so much fun. We'll come back. We'll have a celebratory thing. Maybe we get Mike on with us, and just have a little fun with it, because that would be phenomenal.
Well, you give me some motivation to get it done. So thank you. I appreciate you inviting me on, and hopefully I will talk to you soon.
Absolutely. I'll stop the recording. We can say goodbye off camera. And again, Kevin, all the best. Thanks for coming on. I may cut you off. I don't think so, but it might. But I don't think so.
We've got the sire power. Central Banker, New York's leading sire 3 years in a row, standing at McMahon of Saratoga. He has 12 black type winners, including multiple stakes winners and graded stakes placed Bank It, Morning Matcha, and Bank Stink. Central Banker, sire of 6-figure yearlings and 2-year-olds. He produced 9 stakes runners in 2023. Runners have earned $20.5 million on the track. Central Banker, standing at McMahon of Saratoga Thoroughbreds. Tracking trips with Pick 6 King John Stettin. It's one of the best tools in horse racing for any level of player. It's your second set of eyes, spotting troubled trips, betting angles, track trends, horses to watch and favorites to fade, 10 figs, ticket structure, and more. At Tracking Trips, you're a friend with benefits. Not a member? You must hate winning money. Join Tracking Trips now. Visit pastthewire.com and we'll see you in the winner's circle. Remember, nobody does it better.
Jockeys Warrior quickly in front here by 2 lengths. Here comes Jockeys Warrior up the inside to take over the lead from Life is Good. And Jockeys Warrior remains undefeated here at Saratoga, and he wins an unprecedented Grade 1 stakes at the Spa for the 3rd straight season.
Does it better.